Hi, I'm Jason. For the Vintage Computer Federation VCF East 2021, I gave a demonstration of the Lisa Office system. Unfortunately, the audio recording from that demonstration was not very good, so I'm going to recreate it today. Doing this as a live demo on real hardware. This is a Lisa 2.5. For completeness, this machine does have 2 meg of RAM instead of 1, and the hard disk is a bit faster than the original Apple disk, but everything you're seeing is being done on real hardware. Okay, so the title of this presentation was Practical Apple Lisa, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Spreadsheets. So what is the Lisa? The Lisa was Apple's first computer with a graphical user interface. Some would argue, including myself, that it's the first personal computer with a graphical user interface. And I make that distinction because systems from Xerox and Three Rivers and other workstation type machines were available with a GUI and with a mouse before the Lisa shipped. That's not up for dispute. But the Lisa, as delivered, was a single user machine. They never released any networking. So that's how I kind of put the asterisk on that. It's first machine with a low-cost mouse. If you look at the mouse which shipped with the Xerox, it's beautifully machined. The base plate is machined aluminum. The encoders are metal, which go to a drum with conductive stripes on it, that these very fine little wires that are soldered to the circuit board reach out and touch. The Apple mouse, all of the precision was in the injection molding tools that cast this plastic. And it's all plastic. There's a printed circuit board with some LEDs on it, and injection molded plastic rollers with the wheel with slots in it, and that's how it's able to encode the mouse moving. I think I read this cost Apple about $40 to make. So great reduction in cost there. Oh, the Xerox mouse also, in order to get the ball out, you had to disassemble the whole thing, whereas the Apple has this, again, injection molded Delrin type lock ring that we are now all familiar with. The Mac 128 mouse, the early mouse, is actually internally, mechanically and electrically identical to the Lisa mouse. The system has a Motorola 68000 running at 5 megahertz. Every Lisa intended to run the Office system shipped with a megabyte of RAM and a 5 or 10 megabyte hard drive. Apple had hoped when they started the project in the very early 1980s that they would be able to have a lower tier system that ran from floppies, from the 870K Twiggy disks. It quickly became apparent it was going to need a hard disk. Part of the reason that the Lisa took so long to ship, like I said, they started development in 1979. I think by 1981, the hardware was getting pretty close to done, is they sold the system with a integrated software package called the Office system, and by release 3 it was branded as the Lisa 7.7, which were 7 applications designed to work together. There is LisaWrite, word processor, LisaCalc, spreadsheet, LisaDraw, vector graphics, LisaGraph, business charts, LisaList is a simple database, LisaTerminal tries its darndest to be a VT100 terminal emulator, and LisaProject is a Gantt chart project management package. The designers of this system worked very hard on consistency. They wanted it to be so that if you learned how to do an operation in one part of the system, suddenly you knew how to do it everywhere. Concepts were reused. And they also wanted data to be able to move between applications using the clipboard, which was a new idea at the time. So you'll see in a moment that we are able to copy and paste structured data between applications, or tools, as the Lisa calls them, between documents, and it just works. On the Lisa, you never open an application. There is no file new command. The idea of the electronic desktop metaphor is taken very seriously with this system. So it has a document-centric interface. You open documents. To make a new document, you go to a stationary pad of blank documents and tear a copy off. Same with folders. They designed this for offices and wanted it to be robust and easy to service. All of the case on the Lisa and most of the components can be removed and replaced without tools. All of the actual computer guts in the back are on card edge connectors. It just pulls out. Thumb screw holds the power supply in. Thumb screw holds the disk module in. The file system is designed to be robust. It's got multiple copies of the volume bitmap. The sector size of files is actually not 512 bytes. It's, I think, 532. I can't remember that offhand. But anyway, they're a little bit bigger to hold both the tag information and some pointers to where the next part of the file is on disk. If the bitmap should happen to become damaged, that helps the disk scavenger recover. So let's take a look at the Office system. So I'm going to set aside this. So what I want to do is create a word processing document around the World of IBM exhibit. So to start with, we're Office people, right? Things need to go into a folder. So I've got this empty folders pad. I'm going to double click it. And the Lisa will make a copy with today's date. And then I can name it. And put it wherever I want spatially in this window. Whenever you're working with a folder or a document or disk on the Lisa, you put it on your desk, just like in a real physical desk. Things you're working on go on your desk. So this isn't actually saved on my desk. You can see if we look back inside of the hard drive, it's got this grayed out icon. That means that it's pulled out and sitting on the desk. Same thing with the calculator and the clock. I keep all of my stationary pads in this template papers folder. So let's start by making our word processing document. All right, and I'm just going to file it in there. We'll open it up by double clicking. All right, now like I said, this is real time here, so please excuse any typos. Okay. Oh, now we've got some text in there. You can see you can out-type the system a bit, but it doesn't lose keystrokes. This word processor is WYSIWYG, so if we can make our little abbreviations here. Superscript. We can, let's make this a little bit bigger. Why don't we go ahead and center that? We'll make this a little bit narrower. Okay, so now we've got some text in our document. There is also a spelling checker. Let's try that. No, yeah. C-O-M-P. Did I misspell that? So the way this spelling checker works, you actually have to, it'll go word by word. Ooh, let's see if it can suggest anything for that bad misspelling. Nope. Oh well. Okay. So, I can't spell. That's okay. Let's make a little database now. We'll set this aside. Notice that it shrinks down to an icon on my desktop. And we're going to make ourselves a little database in LisaList. This is a very simple database. It's quite similar to the database function in AppleWorks, if you've ever used that. Each time you open a document that is using a tool that hasn't run since the system starts up, it always has to load the application, and that's why that took just a moment, even though it's an empty file. All right, so make model, produce, and we can define our fields, size them a little bit. I want this to be a date, but I only want the month and year. This we're going to make money, and we don't care about the pennies. All right, so now that I've defined my fields, I can go to show new list, which will create the database structure. Okay, let's put some data in here. And again, these are just kind of sample data, so don't be too upset if I get something a little bit wrong here. $9.95. Okay, so now we've got a little database here. Why would you use this? We could say, for example, we want all of the systems which are clones, and you've also got some math operators in there if you had different types of things. And then, whoops, there we go. So these are all the only clone systems. Go back to show entire list. I'm going to save and continue here. So with the save menu, you normally don't have to save in the Lisa. Whenever you set a document aside, it keeps a suspend file of all the changes that have happened since the last time it was saved. The designers thought of this as like a major version. So if your document was in a consistent state, you would save it. And then if you ever needed to go back, you could use this revert to previous version command. Let me set aside this file. In addition to saving the document state, the computer also, let me set aside all the windows, will keep track of what documents you had open and where their window was and everything. So I'm going to put a diskette into the drive. And you'll see that the diskette will mount on the desktop, its folder will open, and then the document that I was working on will get pulled onto the desktop, and the document will open. And there is a transitional animation for each one of those steps. And there we go. There's some nice business graphics. When I'm done working, all I need to do is just tell the system to eject the diskette, and it will put everything away, close my document, put everything away, and kick the disk out. This diskette has a lot of stuff on it, so it takes a little bit longer to grind away. Additionally, let's say I wanted to make a copy of a file. I can use the duplicate command from the file print menu. Notice that now I have two documents with the same name in the same folder. Just like you can on a real desktop, you can have multiple documents which are identical. The Office system keeps track of all this behind the scenes. Documents are actually just numbered sequentially on disk. But let's go back to our database here. And I'm going to copy all of this to the clipboard. And we're done with this, so I'm going to save and put away. And let's make a spreadsheet. Boop. Okay. That is LisaCalc. Again, same name. System doesn't care. And we'll paste in the database information from earlier. There it is. Size these a little bit. One thing that does happen is notice that it added this $sign with a space in it as text as it brought it over, so it's not quite formatted correctly as a number, but that's okay. We can fix that up. One thing I like about LisaCalc is it's very clear if you were modifying a value or the formula of a particular cell. Of course, we can say that these are money, and it'll do that for us. We can do a little summation here, D1 to D4, and it gives us the total. You can tell the system to calculate automatically, or if you had a big sheet with a lot of calculations in it, to not do it every time because it might make the system chug a bit. There's a bit of online help with all of the functions available in LisaCalc. There's quite a few. I was surprised that it's got all of these financial things, some statistics, linear regression, logarithms, searching, rounding, constants. Apparently Lotus 123 had this sort of thing as well at the time, but I still thought that was impressive. Okay, so I'm just going to take this, and now let's make a business graphic with this data. So we are done with this, so I'm going to save it and put it away. That is in LisaGraph. Again, same name, no problem. Okay, and now let's paste in our spreadsheet data. Ta-da! Okay, that's nice. So we can take our graph. It can be a bar graph or a scatter graph, a pie chart. You can get these 3D looking bars. Area graph. Let's use the pie chart. All right, we're going to select all of this and copy it to the clipboard. Okay. And we'll put this away. One of the things that was new for release 3 of the Office system is this desk menu, which works like a dock. So any icon that's on the desktop shows up in the desk menu, and anything that's open gets a check mark. So you can use it to switch between windows, or if you have something full screen, it will let you switch between applications. It actually works quite well. All right. Notice I can have a file name with a space and a comma in it. The system accommodates that just fine. The draw package is one of the bigger ones, so it takes a little bit to start up the first time. There we go. And I'm going to paste in that graphic from LisaGraph. We'll move it up here to the corner so we can see it. All right. So now we can go in here and spice this up a little bit. We can change the font. Let's make that 18 point. Do what we want here. And this menu should look familiar to anyone who's used Microsoft Office products. We have grouping and ungrouping of objects, send in front, send to back. So I'm going to ungroup the Wang wedge, and then we can change the fill of that. We like the Wang, so we're going to give that hearts. And then let's make that really cool looking. So we can take this part of the pie and pull it out. Move that. And then I'm going to duplicate that part of the wedge. Change the fill to black. And then send it to the back of the class. And now we should be able to generate if I could get this lined up correctly, a 3D looking wedge. There we go. Even change the line on this to be thicker. Notice because I didn't ungroup this, it applied the background to the text as well. So let's fix that. Ungroup. Fill, none. Notice that there's a color menu. Even though this is a black and white system, there was a color printer. So you're able to pick what color things should be. So if the 5150, of course, that should be blue, right? So there's no change on the screen unless we go to line pattern color. Oops. And then show background colors, excuse me. And now you can see that this has got BU behind it. So that's how it shows you what color things will be when they print. Go back to fill patterns. Let's do this. I'm going to select all, group the objects together so it's just one object, make it a bit smaller. Oops. Forgot to delete the footnote. We got to fix that. Ungroup. Get rid of that. There we go. Copy it. I'm going to switch back to my word processing document with the desk menu. And I'm going to paste in that picture. So think about what we just did. We started working on a word processing document, set it aside, created a database, then took the data from the database, put it into a spreadsheet, took the data from the spreadsheet, put it into a graphics generator, took the data from the graphics generator, put it into the drawing program, changed it, and then again copied and pasted it back into the original word processing document that we were working on. Then this is now ready for printing on any of the Lisa printers, including the daisy wheel. It uses the like the pipe character and the underscore to build up the graphics, and it'll use the period as like a single pin dot matrix and kind of hammer away at stuff. Of course, the image writer dot matrix and dot matrix printer are also supported, as is the Canon color inkjet. Actually, let me show you how you configure that. Let's set this aside. We go back to the desktop. And the Lisa is configured with the Preferences tool. Inside of here, you can set the screen brightness, the timeout before the screensaver starts. Yes, it has a screensaver. I've got a SCSI card in slot 2, which the Office system doesn't know what to do with. So, yeah, we can set our screen saver brightness, the volume of the beeper, key repeat, then your connect devices, so what's hooked up to each serial port, the expansion slots, if you add a parallel port card, what all is hooked up to that, and you can also remove device drivers from this tool and add them as well. Put that away. All right. So, next thing I'd like to show you is LisaProject. I'm not going to make a one of these from scratch. I'm going to use the sample that came with the Lisa. And this is a Gantt chart, a project management thing. So say we've got a new thing here. We need to buy toner, and we're going to have Sam do that, and he only needs an hour to do that. He's efficient. So now we can just connect our path. We can take this one and cut it. Move our thing here. There we go. We've just added another task for Sam. This chart lets you view who is doing what. Or, excuse me, these are the names of the tasks. We can see who is doing what, who's utilized when. Like Terry here, he's pretty busy. You can see how much the resource cost per unit is. So this is people, but say you were renting a space and you knew what that cost. Task cost entry. Buying toner, we're going to spend $500 on toner, right? So, and to start with, we probably need cake, so that's going to be $40. Then we can go to the cash flow table. That shows us all of our dates and how much it's going to cost and how much we're spending by each date. If I go back to the schedule, I can where was that? We can tell it to show the start and end dates in this view. So yeah, pretty powerful software. Apparently NASA found this so useful that they purchased a fleet of Lisas just to run LisaProject. We will now put that away. Now what I'd like to show you are two demos that Bill Atkinson wrote for showing off Quickdraw, the graphics engine of Lisa. To do that, I need to go into the programming workshop and exit out of the Office system. So I'm going to hold the Command Apple button and push the power button. And instead of just turning the computer off, because the Lisa has soft power, the software interpreted that as do an OS quit. And it is going to put away all of the icons, just like before we ejected the floppy disk, and take me back to the environments window so I can start up the workshop. It's also closing down all the applications that we had open. So the Office system takes care of that. And virtual memory, the system actually does page memory out to disk. So you can imagine if you had a slower hard drive, how that would begin to impact overall system performance. But in a moment, there we go. So let's start the workshop. This is based around USCD, UCSD. I'm forgetting the acronym, but it's the Pascal type interface. All the Lisa software was written in Pascal, and the early Mac software was also written in this. You might have seen this image in the Polaroids from Andy Hertzfeld's site, Folklore. All of what you're seeing on the screen, with the exception of the icons, is just text definitions of, with this font, write this text, including outline, shadow. With this font, write 6 copies of arbitrary clipping regions, and draw a triangle and circle over it. This engine is what makes the Lisa and the Macintosh possible. One of the nice things about Release 3 of the Lisa Office system is that the work done for the Macintosh, where they had to take some of the more, full-figured software on the Lisa and squash it down to fit on the 128K Mac, Atkinson rewrote Quickdraw to be 68,000 assembly, making it much faster. And that code refactoring was backported to the Lisa for Office System Release 3, making it quite a bit faster than Release 2 and 1. One other demo I'd like to show here. Again, this is all just Quickdraw commands. The Lisa is only 5 megahertz. When the system was being developed, when they selected the Motorola 68000, the story goes that the production chips just weren't ready yet, and they had an emulator that could run at 5 megahertz, and that's what the system architecture was based around. One of the things the Lisa has actually is DRM, digital rights management. In the video state machine ROM is the machine's serial number, and the software can read that serial number out of the video ROM during the vertical blanking period. And it uses that on the Office system software. The first time you go to make a copy of a program, i.e. install it, it writes that serial number back onto the disk, and then that disk can only be used to install software on that Lisa. Okay, let's quit out of here. Yes, and another shell. Now I'd like to show you the LisaGuide, which is an online training system developed for the Lisa that builds it's like a sandbox environment. It's all simulated, so you can't accidentally delete anything. This is also, I think, based around Release 2 of the Office system, so it's a bit slower. So remember, this is 1983, so the idea of using a mouse was brand new. So to teach people how to point and click and select menus and drag files was, you know, that was brand new. One of the neat things about this is it will also do like a show me, like it can simulate the mouse movements for you. So let's try that. If we go here and do demo, it's going to create a folder for us and rename it. This demo makes a point of always using the mouse, not using any shortcut keys. They really wanted to underscore using the mouse to do things. It was a new way of interacting with the computer, which the system was targeted at people who were not expert computer users. The buzzword was knowledge worker, and they might not have used a computer much before, so they tried to make it as accessible as possible. This is how you open a document. You go to File and then click Open. And it will go through and you can interact with this. It's a very good simulation. You can go through and use the elevators and whatnot. Let's go back to the Office system. I'm going to hold the Apple button again, push power. Since there's nothing to save, it just quits very quickly. I'll go back into the Office system. Note, it's now putting all of our icons back on the desktop where they were when we last used the machine. And I'll reopen my slides. This is just a LisaWrite document with the content carefully spaced such that each section is on one page. All right. So thank you very much for watching this. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm in the process of migrating off of Dynamic DNS. So if you need to grab any files for your Lisa, I've started a bit of a repository here. Macintosh repository has stuff, as does Alcasso's site, BitSavers. There is a discussion forum for Lisa people at LisaList2.com. Right now, we're kind of all going through the Lisa Office System source code release that Al worked so hard to get published. So that's pretty nice stuff. You can find me here on Twitter and here on Mastodon, Compu85. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and push the power button and turn the machine off since we're done. And yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Happy to answer them. So, happy 40th birthday, Lisa.